track down some of the victims who have horror stories to tell on their brush with death. The county government has declined to comment on this crisis that now threatens peace in the city. And joining me this morning in studio is Maura Chege, who is MCA Ngara Ward, to talk more about what exactly is happening here. It's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you
Good
again.
morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Karibu sana. So what's going on with this county askaris and the hawkers?
Sophie, this thing is horrific. The way the hawkers are being subjected to in terms of removing them from the streets, it's very barbaric, it's very brutish, and I think something needs to be done. We've tried talks, we've gone to offices, we've talked to the head of the county commander, we've had discussions even with the county secretary about it, and nothing much has come out of it. There is this need for the street traders to leave the main Thika Road highway, which they did. And then after that, they still continued following them up, even in the alleys and all that, and even the ones who have small kiosks and all that. So it's a bad, it's a bad thing, and then secondly, the precedent is no good, because how many traders can we classify as small traders in Nairobi? And actually a huge chunk of the traders in Nairobi are small traders and the hawkers. And there is nothing in terms of legislation that is coming forth. There's nothing in terms of a thinking, which we thought with the new county structure, there will be some thinking. There is no task force. No one has put any thought into looking at, is there a way we can find a lasting solution to this problem? We cannot. What's the difference now between a county and the Kanjo of before the constitution changed? So those are issues. And again, I also want to say this is purely a county issue. It's nothing. You can't blame the police on this one. This is something that any governor worth his salt should be having it on his head and thinking, because these guys are also residents, as same as voters. We all went looking for votes from them.
Correct.
Right. So it's a big issue.
So it's illegal for them to be conducting their business in town. So that's where this is all starting from, that the askaris come out. So the askaris, in chasing them out, getting them out of town, are doing the right thing. It's how they're doing it that's the problem. That's
the issue. How are we doing it? Right? Because one, I can't say that they have licenses to be operating on the streets.
Right.
So that is not in contention. What is in contention is the manner in which that they're going about removing them from the streets. And then secondly, and most importantly, what's the lasting solution? Because even if you remove them from the CBD, remove them from Ngara, if you go even as far as Githurai, there are always street traders around and anywhere within the various suburbs of the city. So I think the biggest, what a county government should be looking at is a lasting solution, which we haven't. I have seen a task force on decongestion of Nairobi, a task force on education, all these niceties, but no one wants to delve deep and look, and because it's also an unemployment issue,
it is.
And it's also a security issue, because if you get into the fights that come out and the road is blocked, and somebody who has no business even passing by Ngara, going to Muthaiga or wherever they're going to, minding their own businesses, become part of the issue, right? If the fights and the thieves take advantage of the stampede and all that, it also now generates into a security problem. These uncoordinated operations, the police administration, the APs are not involved, the DC is not involved, the county offices, even within the county, it's very interesting that even within the county structures, the ward administrators and the sub-county administrators don't know what the askaris are doing. So it's something shambolic, at the left hand not knowing what the right hand is doing. It's something that, and I'm so happy that you thought of bringing it up, and I hope that you also bring it on prime time, so that Kenyans know what is happening and we look for a lasting solution for this issue. So
what is your role as the County Assembly in Nairobi? How do you come into this? Is there a role you can play to ensure that this perhaps gets more attention from the entire government? That is the county government.
Well, the first thing I first of all went and knocked in these offices, and we had discussions, and very good discussions that I brought even the leaders, which I saw in your clip. The one we did a roundtable meeting with the head of the county commander and the county secretary, and we agreed that if they can, because they have their own structures, even the hawkers, If there was a way that they could find a way of organizing themselves and leave the main road, then we can work this thing out. And the fight subsided for a couple of days, and then now it came back with
What
much
was the structure
force.
that was agreed on?
We agreed that the hawkers organize themselves in terms of who is going to be where and the numbers that are going to be in various streets away from the highway. And that one we agreed. And we agreed that they even exchanged numbers, that we will also, the county commander will come and investigate, look at the situation, see who is put where, and if it's acceptable. It's still unacceptable. We even agree into how many we want in a various area. And then we agreed. So after that, after a couple of days, then they realized, no, let's go and hit them again. So,
but is it the police, the Askaris who went to hit them, or did they also not meet the end of the bargain, that they had agreed on this is the parameters you're going to operate in, and they did not meet their end?
The county commander never even inspected them. No one came. I mean, after that discussion, it ended there. So after a couple of days, we thought we had a solution. So no one followed it up. So the second time, asking what I've done so far, because my role is also representation. And these are people in Ngara. I wrote now a formal letter to the county secretary, and I copied the same to the Committee of Justice and Legal Affairs in the County Assembly. And that is what made yesterday, I think it was in the news, they had come to collect views for themselves. They also came on the ground. There's also somebody who rose yesterday and asked for a specific statement on the same in the County Assembly. So as much as the legal parameters that are within my reach, I've tried to reach out. What is the problem is that we agree, but no one is coming out to implement what we've agreed. Because Ngara, a huge chunk is traders. The other time, you remember, we had Grogon mechanics problem. And then again, no one also came up with a lasting solution. So I think that as a government, we need to be on top of this the situation and be thinking ahead of what our residents want us or expect us to do.
Yeah.
So I think this lies squarely on the executive, which is run by the Governor Kidero.
Watching that report, what I found worrying is that, you know, they're talking about being stabbed by these Askaris, and surely when it gets to levels of stabbing, maiming of these hawkers and killing, then that is a completely lawlessness that we're looking at.
Precisely. I mean, in this day and age, and in the new dispensation of a new constitution, where people can even talk at the, you know, I've seen people are so free that you can even exchange, you know, your views with the president. But when it comes to council Askaris, it's totally impunity. I mean, even as at yesterday night, I was being called that there were people who were stabbed, even when after you did your story. So it's like you cannot take us anywhere. That's the message that is being sent across. And that's why I think this thing needs to be taken to the highest level so that we find, you know, with the police service, first of all, you removed it from being a police force into a police service with the intention that it's going to change into service that is going to be helpful to Mwananchi and friendly to Mwananchi. But what did we do with the city Askaris? Because they are not under independent police oversight authority. They don't have an IPOA. So what happens if you are treated unfairly by the council Askaris? Where do you run to? So
that is why you feel then the lawlessness is so much, that they feel there's nobody who's anyway going to hold them to account.
Exactly.
That is scary, because when you also then look at what Mboroki was saying, the spokesperson police, she says that to some extent the hawkers are also to blame, saying that they sometimes will be the ones instigating this, that they will, you know, reach out to go out and say we are here, we're not going to move, so sort of like taunting them to come and attack.
I wish you even called her here so that we could have an honest, balanced debate. Let me tell you, when you have a street trader trading, I mean, they don't have time to go and ask you questions or fight with you. They are trading. But when you come again, grab their goods, take them to a corner, light them up. You know, that's the, you know, the hawkers are a serious lot of businessmen. I mean, you can operate with a stock of 1,000 or 2,000. And you've taken all my goods, all my worldly possessions in terms of my trade, and you go and light them up. You leave these people with with no other way but responding to you. And there is a city court. You know, why can't you just grab these things, take them to court, present them as exhibit, charge this guy, and you know, let the law follow the due process? Why are you banning them? I've even witnessed myself goods being confiscated and being shared out as a loot. So those are the issues. I mean, even if it was you, that I'm coming here and confiscating your stuff and going to burn them or taking them as mine, you are left with no option but to retaliate. If there are fights, as the head of the spokesman was saying, the one arm, which is now the askaris, are trained. They have a code of ethics. Is that how they are told to respond? Because when they are trained, you always know these things might happen. What is the correct procedure? Is it unleashing knives? You know. So I might agree probably to some extent that hawkers might not have a coordinated way of responding. You know, they are not trained. They are just somebody who's trying to make a living. But this other side is trained. They have a code of ethics. You know,
but they've always sort of like been a little bit offish in terms of how they will handle, and you know, in terms of their arrest and their manner of operation. It has never been as you'll see ordinary police, although even them there's their own accusations on that end. But it has always been jungle-ish in terms of the kind of law we see them practice.
True, and the first thing is they don't even come in appearing in uniform, so they're always incognito. So that's a why, if you're so sure of what you're doing, why can't you come officially dressed to do your job like the regular police? You know, so you never know if it was a thug or it was an askari. The names are, you come up with nicknames and all that to try and hide your manner of quelling or removing the hawkers. That is a problem. Let us find, and I thought that would have been an issue that the county government would have taken right from the word go, because it has been a complaint. Not even in this time, every other time. Before it was so much in the CBD. Today we don't have so many hawkers operating the CBD. They were told it's easier for you to operate out. We want you out of the CBD. Now they came to Ngara. You now want them out of Ngara. So why will we keep on pushing them until we get to Githurai and remove them and take them to Kiambu or Machakos or the prisons? The issue for me is we need to find a lasting solution.
And what would that be in your opinion?
First of all, instead, one of the things that the county government should be looking at is how do we operate markets, right? Opening up markets, that should be a big issue. We passed a 30 billion budget. Out of the 30 billion, how much has been set about to do markets? Secondly, like on Sundays, there's this the sunken park around Aga Khan Walk, which is open for hawkers to trade, and even the parking around the High Court area, Supreme Court rather, area. And you know, the people come and trade, and tomorrow morning it is back to a parking lot. So why can't we do the same in these streets, probably from 5 to about 7 in the evening, and then the council or the county can come and clean up. Tomorrow we start afresh. We are not giving these traders an opportunity. And remember, their time is, you know, it's just the rush hour. It's between probably 4 to around 7 when people are passing. So it's something that can be managed. It's something we can even license them. We can find a way of regulating. And I think there should be some study about it. So for me, in terms of there should be a proper legislation about them, we do a study. Let's see what needs to be, what are their needs, because they're actually paying some tax of some sort. If you regularize them, you will drop in some amount. So
these deaths that are being reported and the maiming, has this happened before? And if not, what is leading to this escalation that we are seeing now?
Independent Medical and Legal Unit, IMLU, is a civil society organization that actually has done some work on it. I didn't know about it until yesterday when we had a discussion with their boss. And they even wrote back to, they had written a petition to the county governor 4 or 5 months ago. And it even detailed these issues that are happening. They are not as rampant as now, but somebody picked it up early and raised the questions. So as we are proceeding, it's now impunity exploding, where now it's now not one isolated, 2 isolated, is every other day. Like even as at yesterday, and I asked that we get the numbers of that person, and we are going to, you know, we can get hold of that person who was stabbed and was taken to Guru Nanak for some medical help. So these things have become more, and I think it's a high time that we raise the alarms and we find a lasting solution on this issue.
We watched a clip earlier for the members of the County Assembly here in Nairobi fighting, exchanging blows in the house, and yet one of the committees that they were fighting over its formation is what's supposed to be looking into this. What exactly is the role?
No, the committee that was formed was to look at that there's a committee on roads, which I'm a member, that argued that there's skewed allocation when it comes to projects. And one of the raised issues in Ngara was the project that was bringing in Matatu terminal.
Ah, okay.
And now the Matatu terminal, where it's being built, was actually, hawkers were actually in that area. So when we removed hawkers so that we do a Matatu terminal, what options were we giving the guys who are removing? So those are the issues. They're looking at the skewed allocation, but again, with it, which Ngara is also being named there, all the projects that are that have been brought up in terms of road projects in Ngara are actually non-motorized transport, because it's a bus laybys and what are they called? Walk paths.
Yeah.
So for me, to me, I welcome it. I think one of the issues, I was not in the house at the time, was the way it was being conducted and the procedures. And I think you should also look into that and see what not just look at the fights, but also what was so bad that made people want to exchange blows. Yes.
Yeah, let's go back finally to the hawkers as we bring this to a close, because when you hear and the lawlessness being witnessed and the kind of sentiments and the absence of what we're hearing from the hawkers, then they've gone to a place of hopelessness, and these askaris with no oversight on them, then that again becomes an issue of concern. So you're saying what needs to happen now going forward is to have those structures that will work. But since it has not happened over the years, why and what makes you so confident that it will happen now? Because this has been an issue ongoing for a very long time now. As you said, they were moved outside of the CBD. So what is it about this time round that could bring an end to this crisis, if I may call it that?
Well, I think the media is doing a great job on this issue. We should step up and keep it up until it's now no longer a county issue, it's actually a national issue. And that raising up of those issues and human rights. And I jokingly, I was asking somebody when it came to investigating the president and we found these witness protection programs coming in, where are they when it comes to a local situation like the hawkers? Where are the witness protection programs for these guys? Because they actually a case filed by IMLU. Right, against the county. Human rights organizations, are we saying that human rights only happen when it's some other people? And where I would want to know where the Kenya Human Rights Commission is saying about these issues. To me, that now becomes something else. But in terms of finding a solution, I think the governor should take it up upon himself. It is happening in the county today. I hear there's a local government meeting for the region. We should not be celebrating all these things about the region and back home you're having problems. So I think let us find a solution, and if you don't have, at least let us allow these guys to trade for a couple of hours as we are thinking through a solution. So for me, those guys, and then again, there are few elements within the askaris that are perpetrating this kind of violence. It's not everyone. So let us identify them, let us cull them, and then let action be taken individually, not against the whole county, but let people have an individual responsibility to their actions.
Do we see these kind of problems in other counties?
I don't know about how their city, their municipal or whatever askaris they are called there.
Yeah.
I don't know, but in Nairobi, of course, it's
a bigger
4 decibels higher, and and we should not be looking at Nairobi should not be comparing itself with Mombasa, Kitale, or whatever. We should be comparing ourselves with the Joburg, Malaysia, and all that. So that that's where we are going. So if what happens to the hawkers in Johannesburg, what happens to hawkers in Cairo, what happens in with the hawkers in New York? Because they're hawkers in New York and Chicago. That should be our benchmark. And if they're not treated the same way we are treating them, then we are doing bad as a city that claims to be a hub or a serious city in the continent.
All right, thank you. We will definitely continue to follow this story, and we hope some resolution will be reached at some point for the hawkers and as well the askaris and how I think they conduct themselves. Watching some of those pictures you've just seen, Maura Shege, MC Ngara Ward, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And have a lovely day. This is Morning Express. We take a short break. When we return, State of the Nation is coming up and also the news. Stay with us. Yeah, I'll ask him.